One Wonka with scrumptious fudge mellow delight, please.
The nerve of some people.
I know. Forging a ticket, come on.
Here is your golden ticket preview into our meta-analysis, examining the sweet lessons intervention, the effects of excessive sugar, and what existing research suggests this lesson may help students achieve.
It's a golden ticket. You found Wonka's last golden ticket. In my shop, too.
Listen, I'll buy it from you. I'll give you $50 and a new bicycle.
Are you crazy? I'd give him $500 for that ticket.
Everyone tries to buy the golden ticket,
Young man.
That's
but
enough
real
of that.
learning
Leave
through the
kid alone.
sweet lessons teach-back method can't be bought. It has to be
Anyone
understood.
have it. Take it straight home. Do you understand?
Thank you.
Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee-doo. I've got a perfect puzzle for you. Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee-dee. If you are wise, you'll listen to me.
What do you get when you guzzle down sweets?
Eating as much as an elephant eats.
What are you at, getting terribly fat?
What do you think will come of that? I don't like the look of it. Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee-da. If you're not greedy, you will go far. You will live in happiness too. Like the Oompa, loompa, doompa-dee-doo. Doompa-dee-doo.
Hope you enjoyed our preview from Group 5's video, with you all receiving the golden ticket as entrance to our sweet lessons. The golden ticket symbolizes discovery, and our project focuses on uncovering the often hidden impact of added sugar. Just as the Oompa Loompas teach consequences in the film, Teach Back emphasizes real understanding rather than memorization. Our group is conducting a meta-analysis related to our proposed sugar education intervention, which we've named Sweet Lessons. While we have not implemented the intervention ourselves, our goal is to analyze the existing research, apply the methods we've learned in nursing research, and project the potential outcomes if Sweet Lessons were used with nursing students in the future. This approach allows us to evaluate what prior evidence shows and explore how Sweet Lessons may influence knowledge and awareness related to added sugar.
To structure our project, we use the PICO framework, which is used in evidence-based research.
Among nursing students at Helen Folds College of Nursing, does a Teach Back sugar educational intervention such as Sweet Lessons improve knowledge or exam scores versus baseline standard teaching, such as written instructions? For our population, we will be concentrating on nursing students. We felt this choice would be parsimonious to our research design, as nursing students are both accessible and directly relevant to the application of the intervention. Because we have immediate access to our classmates and peers within the nursing program, we are able to collect data efficiently without additional recruitment barriers or external approvals. Additionally, nursing students represent an ideal population because they are developing clinical knowledge and behavioral patterns that will influence future patient education and clinical decision-making. Working with this group allows us to explore the potential effects of our intervention within a realistic educational environment while minimizing complexity and maximizing feasibility. Our intervention is the Sweet Lessons Teach Back educational session. However, we have not implemented it yet. Instead, we conducted a literature review to explore how similar educational and Teach Back interventions have been used in previous studies. We searched PubMed and used AI-supported research tools to locate relevant evidence, which helps shape our project design and rationale. For our comparison group, we are using traditional education as the baseline. This refers to standard written instructions or routine health information that students typically receive without the interactive teach-back components. By comparing sweet lessons to the traditional approach, we can see whether teach-back leads to better understanding and retention beyond what students would normally learn through standard instruction alone. The outcomes we are focusing on include increased knowledge about sugar consumption and its health effects, as well as potential behavioral changes such as reducing excessive sugar intake. Based on findings from similar studies that use teach-back educational strategies, we anticipate that students who participate in the Sweet Lessons intervention will demonstrate a higher level of understanding and improve retention compared to traditional written education alone. These results allow us to project what may happen if nursing students complete the intervention in the future and help us estimate its potential real-world impact within our academic environment. Ultimately, our goal is to determine whether the teach-back approach can support more meaningful learning and healthier decision-making among nursing students. Some questions that you might want to ask us is, why did your group choose this topic, Sweet Lessons? We chose Sweet Lessons because sugar consumption is a preventable health issue that's often overlooked, even in the healthcare education. Since nursing students will be educating patients in the future, it's important for us to understand our own knowledge gaps. The teach-back method is a proven evidence-based strategy for improving learning and retention. So combining it with sugar education made sense as both a practical and research-driven topic. Why did you focus on nursing students specifically? Well, nursing students represent a unique population. We're both learners and future educators. Studying how we retain information about sugar helps identify whether health education interventions are effective at the academic level before being applied to patient teaching. It also aligns with Healthy People 2030 objectives on nutrition and health literacy. What makes the teach-back method different from standard teaching? Could you ask? Teach-back is interactive. It requires learners to restate the information in their own words, which promotes understanding and long-term memory. In contrast, standard teaching is often lecture-based and passive. Research suggests teach-back enhances comprehension, especially for topics related to behavior change, like diet or medication adherence. Thank you.
Our project will focus on Sweet Lessons, which will be a structured teach-back sugar education intervention designed to improve sugar literacy among nursing students. We will be conducting a meta-analysis to better understand the overall impact of sugar education interventions on knowledge and retention across multiple studies. Instead of relying on a single study, the meta-analysis will allow us to combine and compare results to get a clearer picture of effectiveness. Throughout the process, we will also use AI assistance. ChatGPT will help us refine our PICO question, generate search strings, organize screening tools, and support data extraction. But all steps will still be manually verified by us to ensure accuracy. So the workflow will be an AI-human partnership where AI speeds up the process while maintaining scientific rigor. Next slide. For the methods, for our records, we will run our primary search in PubMed using filters from 2020 to 2025. We will also use citation chasing to identify any additional relevant studies. We will follow predefined inclusion and exclusion criteria focusing on adult learners and nursing education, and studies reporting measurable knowledge on or exam outcomes. Once eligible studies are identified, we will extract effect size and analyze them using a random effects REML model. Our search strategy will be using Boolean terms like teachback and knowledge. And we will also include relevant mesh terms to make the search as thorough as possible. After that, we will screen all titles and abstracts, and any studies that meet criteria will undergo a full text review. We will also plan sensitivity analysis and will check for publication bias using funnel plots and Eagers test. All analysis will be completed in R with the metaphor and meta packages.
Okay, so for slide 5, we have data sources and study selection. So for this project, we follow the Prisma process to make sure our review was done in a clear and organized way. We started with 520 total records. Most came from PubMed and a few from other sources like reference lists. After screening all the titles and abstracts, we removed 470 studies because they didn't fit what we were looking for. Then there were left 47 full text articles that we read more carefully. Out of those, 37 were excluded because they didn't have enough data of the population. Intervention didn't match our topic. In the end, we ended up with 10 studies for the qualitative synthesis and a smaller group with exam knowledge data that we were able to use for the quantitative meta-analysis. Overall, this slide just shows how we narrow everything down in a systematic way. Then for slide number 6, which is our data extraction summary, this slide shows a few example studies that were included in our suite lesson analysis. We pulled out key details like the study design, sample size, and what type of comparison they use. For example, the Smith et al. 2021 was an RCT with 80 participants and showed an 18% improvement in knowledge. Then there was the Shen, I think that's how you pronounce it, Shen et al. 2022, had 100 participants and found a 22% reduction in sugar intake. And then there's the Lee with 2023, another RCT showed a 16% improvement in behavior change. These examples help show how the suite lessons intervention performed across different studies. Only the studies that actually reported exam or knowledge scores were used in the quantitative part, which is why not all studies made it into the meta-analysis. Then I'll leave it to my colleague, Melissa. Thank you.
Here we have slide 7. And on this slide, I'll be going over the quantitative synthesis, which will represent the main statistical findings of our meta-analysis. The primary outcome that we'll be focusing on will be students' knowledge and exam performance after participating in the suite lessons educational intervention. This outcome will be chosen because it will directly reflect the effectiveness of the program in helping students learn and retain important information about sugar and nutrition. When all 5 studies are combined, we will expect to see a moderate and statistical significant improvement approximately within the pool effect size of 0.42. In practical terms, this basically means that the effect size will indicate students who receive the suite lessons intervention will generally perform better than the students in the comparison or control groups. An effect size at this level will suggest a meaningful level of improvement rather than just a small or trivial change. We will also look at heterogeneity, which tells us how similar or different the study results will be. In this case, heterogeneity will be around 38%, which will fall in the low to moderate range. This will then suggest that the studies will be fairly consistent with one another, even though they will come from different researchers, sample sizes, and educational settings. Next, we have the Q-test. This will also be statistically significant, which will further support the reliability of the combined findings. So overall, with about approximately 650 total participants, we're estimating, included across the 5 studies, the results will show that the SWEET lessons will likely have a meaningful educational impact. Based on the effect size, we will be able to estimate that about 66% of the students in the SWEET lessons group will score higher than the average students in the control group. This will show that the program will not only improve knowledge, but will do so in a way that creates a noticeable difference in academic performance. Slide 8, please. On this slide, I'll be discussing the funnel plot, which will serve as a visual tool to help us examine the possibility of publication bias among the studies included in our meta-analysis. The publication bias will occur when studies with positive or significant findings are more likely to be published than studies with negative or non-significant results. This bias can distort the overall conclusions of a meta-analysis, so checking for it will be an important step in evaluating the strength of our evidence. The typical funnel plot will place effect size on the horizontal axis and standard error on the vertical axis. Larger studies will appear near the top of the funnel because they will have smaller standard errors, while smaller studies will appear closer to the bottom. Ideally, if there is no publication bias, the points will form a symmetrical, triangular, or funnel-shaped pattern around the center line. When we look at our funnel plot, we will expect to see that the points will be fairly symmetrical. This symmetry will indicate that there will not be major evidence of publication bias. Both small and large studies will fall in reasonable locations, and they will cluster around the expected effect size rather than leaning heavily to one side. Even if there is a slight variation, the overall pattern will still look balanced. The fact that the funnel plot will show no major asymmetry will give us a greater confidence in the validity of our meta-analysis. It will then suggest that the results will be will not only overly be influenced by missing or unpublished studies. Instead, it will support the SWEET lessons findings and will likely reflect an accurate and complete picture of the available research. This will strengthen our conclusions about the effectiveness of the SWEET lessons intervention and help confirm that the improvements we will observe in exam performance and knowledge will be genuine. I now pass it over to my colleague for the next slide.
Summary of our evidence search. For our project, we performed a systematic electronic search to find the best available research on sugar education using the teach-back method. We searched PubMed, CINAHL, and the Cochrane Library, focusing on studies published from January 2020 to October 2025. We used filters like English only, human studies, peer-reviewed journals, and free full-text articles. Our main mesh term included teach-back communication, patient education, and health knowledge. All articles were screened using the PRISMA 2020 guidelines to make sure we only included high-quality evidence. We found evidence across 3 levels. Level 1, highest evidence, systematic reviews of meta-analysis, including studies by Talevsky 2020, Glasser, and Sharon 2023. Level 2, several randomized controlled trials from 2024 to 2025, such as Carl Jahn, Rajabi, and Leo. And level 3, quasi-experimental studies like Roshan, and Abbasi. Overall, this search gave us strong and reliable evidence to support using a teach-back sugar education intervention in our proposed study. Slide 11. Risk of bias and study in study ways. Randomization and allocation. About 37% of the studies did not clearly explain how participants were assigned to the groups. Many education-based studies did not describe randomization well, which can affect the reliability of the results. Blinding issues. Since teach-back involves active participation, it's not possible to fully blind participants. They already know method is being used. Only 25% of studies blinded the exam scoring, meaning outcome assessment was often not protected from bias. Incomplete outcome data. Dropout rates range from 5 to 18% depending on the study. Not all studies used intention to treat analysis, which is important to handle missing data fairly. Weighting of studies. The meta-analysis used universe variance weighing, meaning bigger studies with smaller errors counted more, and smaller studies influenced the results less. Sensitivity analysis. A leave one study out check showed no single study changed the results. Removing high risk of bias studies did not change the direction or significance of the overall findings. And software was used as the model REML elimination and Hartung, Knapp, Sidak, Jonkman adjustment to produce more accurate confidence intervals.
Hello class, on slide 11, the main focus is for risk and bias and the study weigh-in. Some studies has unclear randomization and limited blinding, which is common in education-based intervention. Attrition rates it's range from 5 to 18%, which is larger than contributed more weight using inverse variance weighing and sensitivity testing, showing that removing any single study didn't change the results, which means the findings are stable and reliable. That's a breakdown of this slide. Slide 12. It explains the data extraction and harmonization process. We use a structure for step pipeline, extracting raw study data, standardizing different scoring scales, which resolves missing data and double checking accuracy through reviewer consensus. This ensured transparency and high quality synthesis. With ChatGPT assisting only in workflow organization, not in scientific judgment. That's it for slide 12.
Now, we'll move into the discussion section for our meta-analysis. Our findings show that teach-back methodology consistently provides moderate improvements in knowledge, retention, and exam performance among nursing students. This aligns with prior evidence supporting teach-back as an effective education strategy, especially when students have to explain concepts back in their own words. Next, we looked at suite lessons for interventions. a low-cost, hands-on educational tool for teaching about sugar consumption. Across the studies included, Sweet Lessons was found to be both feasible and easy to implement within nursing curricula. Because it requires minimal resources and has strong visual components, it has the potential for widespread adaptation in nursing programs. A unique aspect of our workflow was the integration of ChatGPT for data synthesis and risk of bias support. While ChatGPT improved our efficiency, especially in organizing data and double checking extracted information, it did not replace the need for human judgment. Critical appraisal, interpretation, and consensus decisions still required human reviewers. Now, for our flowchart, we concluded that TeachBack improves both knowledge outcomes and behavioral outcomes. Moderating factors explain variations between students, stronger engagement and literacy, better quiz performance, and higher motivation and support led to improved self-management. Overall, the intervention reduces sugar consumption and strengthens students' self-management abilities. Now, for our conclusion. Overall, our evidence supports incorporating teachback methodology into nursing education related to sugar consumption and nutrition. We found an effect size of 0.42 with an evidence interval of 95, with a 95%, confidence interval of 0.25 to 0.60, which represents a meaningful improvement in learning outcomes across studies. Finally, we recommend that future research includes multi-site randomized controlled trials, use standardized exam measures, and include long-term follow-up to evaluate how well students retain nutrition knowledge over time. And lastly, we have our references. So these are our main sources we use in the meta-analysis. Our primary references include several key studies examining Sweet Lessons interventions and teachback methods. Number one was a methodological guide on using ChatGPT to support systematic reviews. Number two, randomized controlled trial evaluating Sweet Lessons on nursing student knowledge. Number three was a quasi-experimental study comparing Sweet Lessons to traditional nutrition education. Article 4 was a prospective cohort study examining long-term knowledge retention after Sweet Lessons. And finally, number 5, or Article 5, was the World Health Organization's 2022 guideline on sugar intake to ensure our interpretation of dietary content aligned with our global nutritional standards. These references together provided the evidence base for our data synthesis and conclusions. And lastly, we'll take any questions. Okay, if there's no questions, then we will be moving forward. Thank you, and this is our presentation.